Hey everybody, welcome back. The Bad Pennies are back. I am Sho, and this is my friend Alan. And this one's going to be a little sensitive, but let's make it happen.
And again, we're sometimes I spend a lot of time preparing material.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't spend any time preparing material, and we just kind of shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
And this is one we're going to be shooting from the hip, and we're going to figure out where it goes.
Let's go, man.
All right.
Let's figure it out. You guys are on the journey with us.
Yeah. So because we literally just finished the podcast, and we kind of discussed what we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
And because this has come up repeatedly over the last month or two, talking to lots of men and talking about stress and mental health.
And a lot of men have difficult times expressing the problems they may be having mentally.
Of course.
Because you want to bottle it up. You think it's emotion, but really there's a brain chemistry issue sometimes.
Well, there is, and so let's just kind of like draw a line here, because there's stuff we can talk about, and there's stuff that we would be incredibly irresponsible to talk about.
So of course we have to make the disclaimer that we're not doctors.
Right. Or mental health professionals in any way, shape, or form.
You got a little bit of training on some things related
some things
to it,
enough to be dangerous and hurt people, right? So but what we're gonna talk about when it comes to mental health issues that are dealing with wiring or chemistry in the brain, go see a professional.
Go see a professional.
And if you're struggling with mental health issues, go see a professional.
Yeah.
Period.
Now, one thing I want to say right now is that I know culturally Black men have a problem with therapy. A lot of Black men don't do it. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Therapy helps. You find solutions to your problems.
It was sadly, one of the places where we have traditionally messed up our health, our mental health, and our brains are men who go to war.
Men who go to war.
Men who go to war, and the shift in context of life that you have to make in order to go to war and take lives and do horrific things.
Yeah.
Men that survive come back pretty messed up.
Yeah.
And
then they just get thrown back into society.
And then they get again, that whole killer part of us nobody wants until they need it. Yeah. And then when they need it, we're important, and then they send us off to war, and then once we've done the job and come back, they don't want us anymore. They don't want us to be that anymore.
Right.
But unfortunately, turning it on is one thing. Turning it off is a whole different deal. We're not going to get into the whole, again, there's a whole field now, and they're doing a much better job of taking care of our military personnel who have dealt with things and developed what they call PTSD, and other kinds of traumatic brain injuries and things like that.
Yeah.
But
even normal guys.
But unfortunately, traditionally, it was just ignored. In fact, if you went to therapy, if you went to see the base psychologist, you got a black mark on your record, and it would keep you from being promoted. In fact, if you went to see a therapist, if you had something going on, and you went to, because they've for a long time, they've had mental health professionals in the military, and yet if you utilized that professional, it would pretty much destroy your career. You would be considered to be not fit for promotion or anything because you had an issue psychologically. So it didn't matter even why you went to see him.
Just the fact that you went.
The fact that you went got you a black mark, and you were marked forever.
Okay.
All right. So, and it was something that you couldn't even get past, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous, because almost everybody needs help from time to time. Almost everybody, if not, I'd be so bold to say everybody needs, because we life is stressful and it's challenging, and it's full of things that we are not born with the knowledge and the ability to deal with some of this stuff. And that's just part of going through life.
Yeah.
And asking for help is, again, like you said, not just for black men, but for men in general, is a very difficult thing.
There is a black stigma, though. I will
there
say
is.
that.
There, without a doubt. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And there's an additional black stigma under a parent of the whole, male stigma of not asking.
Right.
I mean, it's like all the vacations, we were talking earlier about, memories as a child. One of the memories I have is my father's refusal to stop and get directions when we got lost on vacation, right? Because that whole thing about not asking for help, and yet all it took was just to pull into a station and say, hey, where we want to get here, but where are we? And it would solve the problem, instantly.
Yeah.
But yet we would drive for hours, lost until my father figured it out. And men are like that. That's actually a good analogy of how we handle stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about things that absolutely can help you. And as long as we're not talking about that other side of the line where you're going to need professional help. We're talking about this side of the line where it's just dealing with day-to-day stuff.
Okay. Let's do
it. And day-to-day stuff wears on you. You got to make money, and you got to be successful, and you got to negotiate, all of the stuff going on at work, whether you're in sales or manufacturing or whatever you are, whether you're a worker on the line. There's just a lot weighing on us. Taking care of the family, insurance, keeping the cars up, the kids, school, college. It's
a laundry list.
It just the weight,
Yeah.
Sometimes when you meet a man, you can literally see the weight of all of the stuff on his shoulders that he's carrying, and sometimes you can it touches you. I mean, you can feel the weight of the pain of all of that. Okay. So there are some ways to deal with this, and my favorite way is, and I think one of the best ways, is to make sure that you have men in your life that you can take that to. This is not the stuff you take to your wife, right? This is not the stuff you take to your kids and your family. And men that don't have a place to take it often take it there instead, or they take it out. They don't take it to their family; they take it out on their family, and that is not appropriate, of course. And men that have taken their frustrations out on people have, again, caused the moniker of toxic masculinity, because men, when they're not taking care of this stuff, this emotional stuff that from all of that weight, right? Then we take it out on people in either psychologically brutal or even physically brutal ways. We do stuff, and men act out. Men are explosive.
So men need a place to decompress.
They do, and the best place to decompress
is with your men.
Having men in your life, men that you trust, men that aren't going to compromise you, men that won't talk about what you talked about. That you're able to keep a circle of confidentiality,
right?
And that way you can go and not unlike therapy, where you would go and actually say everything that you need to say. You have men where you can go and say all the things you need to say, get all of that tension and stress, frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Men get frustrated when things when things get really tough, or at times things don't go our way. It's very frustrating, and even though you're putting all this energy into what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. So here's my thing.
Okay.
You have different kinds of men circles that you want to be around. Sometimes it's a cigar circle. Sometimes it's the guys that you just want to just go out and play basketball with. Sometimes you want to talk about things, and sometimes you just want to just physically get things out.
Right.
And both of those are good forms of decompression. Right?
They are, but the circles are different, and so when we talk about having a circle of men like that's not. I mean, it doesn't mean that circle of men can't go play basketball or go bowling or whatever. In fact, what was that lawn bowling? I have a really good friend that's doing lawn bowling these days.
Okay.
All right, and really into it. Evidently, it's a big deal. But no, those aren't the circles for that. The circle for that is the men that you trust, that you're close to, and when you get together from time to time, you're not chit-chatting about stuff. You're not just sitting around. I mean, you can do that, but before you do that, you got to get some work done together.
Yeah, so we're talking about your pack.
Sort of your pack, yes, so absolutely.
Going back to go back a few episodes back, and we discussed lone wolf and pack wolf.
Exactly. This is your pack.
So these are your trusted men that you can pretty much these are the men you can cry in front of, and they're not going to judge you for it.
That is correct. Although, again, weeping stuff away is not really the conducive for men. But
you can.
But you can take your mask off and let all of that emotion and frustration out. And this is a good place to do it. And it will come out in all kinds of unpredictable and crazy ways.
Right.
And that's another reason you don't do it alone, is because it does come out in unpredictable and crazy ways.
Okay.
And men know how to handle that. Men can take care of each other when those crazy, unpredictable things happen.
Okay.
And they don't freak us out.
But for a guy who's stressed out and he's got some frustrations and chooses to say, go shoot basketball with a bunch of guys at the gym, those are not the guys that you're talking about for decompressing stress?
No, those are not. Although, shooting basketball or doing something physical is actually good. So that's another...
Hitting a punching bag and all that
Hitting a punching bag, grabbing a Nerf bat and hitting a post, a fence post or whatever. Those things actually are, I have found them to be beneficial when I'm really frustrated. Sometimes it's just slamming something. They had those places where you could go and break dishes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
No, they still have that. I just saw one not too long ago. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, you can go just smash it, right?
Yeah.
You pay a certain amount of money and you go and
yeah.
Actually years ago with some men, one of the men had a business where they pulled computer parts out.
Yeah.
Right. And then they had all this leftover stuff, monitors and computers and shit that still looked like they were, functioning or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had a whole garage full of them because they just didn't know what to do with them. So we took we had a baseball bat and we put on goggles and protective clothing and we in there and just smashed shit.
Yeah.
And we spent like 3 or 4 hours cleaning up the mess. Right.
Yeah.
But it was very therapeutic. So having an outlet, a physical outlet is good.
Okay.
A physical outlet is good, but it won't be enough in some cases. Sometimes you just need to let the men know what's really going on with you. And also, one of the great things about having those kind of men is they're not going to sit there and try to fix you or give you advice. Trying to fix men and giving them advice is just a waste of time.
Okay.
All right. So just get it off your chest, get it out, and make sure you get it all out. Don't leave stuff in there. If you get an opportunity to just get shit off your chest, then get it all off your chest.
Okay.
And that way, no one else suffers for that frustration.
Right. You don't want to take that stuff home.
Right. And so
what about do you see a difference between how you handle stress versus how you handle depression in regards to dealing with?
Well, again, depression is on the other side of that line.
Right. Okay. Right.
Depression is
feeling melancholy.
Okay. Well, again, this is what I say to men that are feeling melancholy.
What's that?
Or again, when just things get so heavy that they're just weighing us down. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
In those terms. So when things are weighing you down, this is this is something I think we should do all the time, not just in those instances.
Mm-hmm.
Write down everything that you're grateful for.
Okay.
They used to call it a gratitude list.
Gratitude list. I've heard that.
So get yourself a notebook or something like that, or just a piece of paper and just write down all the things in your life that you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Or another way of looking at it is that all the things in your life that are light, because the dark shit weighs us down.
Okay.
Dark shit weighs us down. It pulls us down, and we forget that there's light in our life. We forget about the light, and the more you forget about the light, the more the dark shit pulls you down even further. So it's gratitude is light, being grateful for the things in your life, and just being grateful for being alive. What an incredible
gift that we have to be in the present.
It is a gift, and it's an opportunity, and that we're on this amazing planet.
Yeah. And
that we're alive, and we have all of this amazing stuff around us, from man-made stuff to nature, our place in the universe, our solar system, and all of the knowledge that we have is just it's astounding.
Yeah.
And I can't think of being anything but grateful.
Right.
For being alive.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you can start. And then just go from there for all the things that you're really grateful for.
Okay.
Family, parents, whatever. And even for the things that are like I said, dark and pulling you down.
Yeah.
You can combat them.
Mental health, stress, melancholy. What about things like addictions and stuff like that?
Well, again, with addictions, they are
not necessarily drug addictions, just addictions in general, right?
Well,
there are
addictions.
There are plenty of things that people get addicted to.
Addictions addictions are just like commitments. They control us, and the difference, of course, is with a commitment, it's something you choose to control you, whereas an addiction is something that's not beneficial, that controls you anyway. And so and the fact, and we so easily surrender to addictions, and we resist the things that we choose to be committed to. It's kind of a human condition, but know that with addictions, in some cases, you just fill that space with commitment and surrender to the commitments, and there's no more room for addiction. You're going to kind of force it out and push it out. But look, it's not quite that simple.
No, some people, it's a mental health thing.
And when there's and I also think that it's a spiritual thing too. I think most addictions come from a spiritual, an ailment of the spirit to a degree. All right, so you can make it mental. For some people, it can be psychological. There's that component. There's, again, it can extend into elements that cause physical addiction, that are actually physically addictive. We know that there are things and chemicals in the world that, once induced in the body repeatedly, the body becomes dependent upon it and begins to think physiologically that it cannot survive without it. And therefore you have become dependent or chemically dependent, which is also an addiction. But if we're talking about, and again, professional help for all of this kind of stuff. But we all have our little addictions to a degree.
Okay. And
the best way to not have those is to fill that space with committed life. So okay. And the more, and surrender to it. I mean, remember, you choose the things that you're committed to.
Yeah.
Why don't you surrender to serving them?
Okay. And then there's no
instead
room
of so
for
readily and easily serving those things, those addictions
Right.
that aren't good for us.
Right.
From
There'll be no room for that.
internet porn. I know men that didn't go to work for 2 months because they were so addicted to internet porn they couldn't get away from their computer, and they didn't make any money, and didn't make their mortgage payments, and their whole life was falling apart because of that addiction.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying everyone's addicted to internet porn, but I've known men that were, and it was a very difficult thing to get past.
There's addictions that, alcohol and drugs is an addiction. Social media and whatever you do on your phone could be
all kinds of stuff.
It's when it gets control of your life that's the problem.
Exactly.
If you can be in control of yourself, then do that. But when you allow something else to take power over your life, then you then become
it's
a servant
it's
to
all of the things that you're allowing to control you that you don't want to control you.
Right.
Those are addictions.
Right.
Okay. And
so identify that.
Yeah. Identify those things that are controlling you that you don't want to control you.
Right.
And I'm sure it's a pretty long list. and then identify all the things that control you that you want to control you. Right?
Yeah, and those are the things that you grab hold of.
Right, and make more of those.
Yeah,
do more of those, and the more of those that you do, the less room there is for the things that control you, that you don't want to control you. And just know that addiction, by definition, is just not beneficial. Right? It won't.
There you go.
It's all those things that are not beneficial to you physically, psychologically, spiritually. They don't serve your purpose. They don't have a purpose other than themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that makes it very easy to identify what those things are. But again, if you think that it is beyond, something at that level, that simpler level, then again, professional, talking to someone, and let's go back to asking for help, because we didn't really get into that much.
Ask for help. Yes, that's a big one.
No shame.
It is there. Yes,
there's no shame in asking for help. In fact, it's worse when you don't.
Yeah,
it's much worse than when you don't ask for help. Because here's the rule around asking for help.
Let's go.
If you don't ask for help, you won't get any.
That's simple.
If you need help and you don't ask for it, it's unlikely that you're going to get any help.
Yeah,
there's very few people in the world that try to help people that don't ask for help.
It's kind of like a machismo thing to not ask for help, but there's nothing wrong with it.
I've got this handled. It's not a problem as your life, as the quicksand finally goes over your head.
I say that all the time in leadership. If you need help, ask for it.
Yeah.
Don't dig yourself into a ditch that you can't get out of when there's plenty of people around you that can help you out.
And look, it's also not a shame to not know what kind of help you need.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't know what we need, but so we won't ask for help because we don't know what that needs to look like.
You're right.
But just admitting that you need help, it starts the process.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's huge. And if you can get past that, and it doesn't mean you're asking for help all of the time, but I do. I ask for help a lot.
Yeah. I don't have a problem asking for it.
I ask for help, and I know that at the level that my life is at now, I can't get things done on myself or on my own, right? I can't accomplish the things that I've set out to accomplish alone.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I ask for help all the time.
Bam.
And sometimes the answer is no, and more often, actually, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Well, what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm like, well, this is what I need. Sometimes I start a conversation and I'm like, Joe, I could really use your help.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very enrolling, right? Just to say, I could really use your help, because the natural human response is, well, what do you need?
Right.
How can I help?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or how can I be of service?
Right. Right. That's a big one, man.
It's huge.
I think we should end on that.
I can be good with that.
Ask for help when you need it, gentlemen.
Ask for help.
Next time.